To the Alex Urbina radio show. The following is paid programming and does not necessarily reflect the opinions of KHTS or its ownership.
And welcome to the Alex Urbina radio show. This is Alex Urbina. I'm your host, hanging out with my board op, Mr. Andrew Delgado. How are you today?
Good. How you doing?
It feels good to be back in the saddle, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So listen, I want to talk a little bit about this thing called worry. And I want to have a discussion about what it's like to worry and how long we do worry for and why we worry. And just open up this powerful discussion so that hopefully some of us can come to a semi-realization that we are actually in control of what we worry about and that we actually are at choice to worry about things or to not worry about things, and really hopefully open up some possibilities for people to really master themselves and really master worrying. Now, when I say master worrying, I'm not talking about how to get better at it.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, exactly. It's more about how to start to slowly eliminate this mechanism called worrying, being overly concerned about things to the point where we can cause our own illnesses, we could cause our own sicknesses, and just really sabotage our own mental awareness and personal growth. So before we do that, I want to really invite people, if it's the first time you're listening to this show, I'm a life coach, and my job is to open up possibilities for people to really have personal breakthroughs in their life. And as you're listening to this dialogue, I'm going to invite you to, one, be open-minded. Open-minded means that you're open to all possibilities, even if you can't see it yet. So your job is not to agree with me or disagree with me. It's just to be open to see how you can possibly see it the way either I see it or someone sees it on the show when we talk about it. So just be open to the possibility that it can be possible, that it is possible. And if you're at least open to that level, you might be able to have some breakthroughs. The next thing is, as you're listening to this show, I also want you to be self-aware, meaning be willing to look inward, not outward. Be more self-reflective, like, how can I do that? How can I be like that? How can I see it like that? Rather than be focusing on things that are outside of you. And then the other thing is that you got to be willing to surrender possibly some old limiting beliefs that you have created from your past, some old conditioning or outdated perspectives that maybe once worked for you before when you were younger, but they might not be effective for you in order to get you to the next level. So when we talk about worrying, the first thing I think about is let's define what worrying is, right? And I'm not the guru of definition. I just go to Webster's dictionary, and when you define it, the definition of worry is to give way to anxiety or unease. And then it says to allow one's mind to dwell on difficulty or troubles. And when I think about this, when it says allow one's mind, I think of allowing my own mind, because I'm the one, right? When I allow my own mind to dwell on things that are difficult or things that could cause trouble, that's when I'm now can find myself in a state of worrying. And to me, it seems like a chronic thing, whereas it's constantly, my mind just takes over and just constantly worrying about things over and over and over again.
And that's me. I'm worrying right now about things I have to do in a couple hours.
Great example, right?
And before the show, before you told me the topic, I'm in a state of worry about how is this going to happen? How's this going to play out? I even before the show started, I said, okay, I got to get grounded in here to be present, because I'm not, and I find that difficult to just stop and worry, because I'm a big worrier.
And it is difficult. It's a challenging process for human beings to not worry, and I think it's because it's in our it's almost like it's in our DNA, or it's in our coding, it's in our wiring. It's in the wiring and the coding and the DNA of our ego. Our ego's job is to constantly protect us. It's to keep us safe. It's to constantly be ahead of the game, to know what's coming around the corner, to set ourselves up to win, to be prepared for whatever chaos or troubles or challenges that could be coming down the pipeline. Now, can you be concerned about those things and be mindful of them, but also rely on your own ability to handle and navigate circumstances without the worry? That's the distinction. That's the line that I want to draw for people is, can you operate from an area of concern? I have a concern about this, but I'm not going to cross the line into worry.
Okay, yeah, because that's another question I have. When does it become unhealthy or into that realm of now it's taking over you in a negative way? Because I think worrying is not all bad. That's how I view it. Like, it's good to worry, but
it's not all bad. So let's talk about the healthy worrying. Healthy worrying when it's time to worry, like, oh my God, I'm in an unsafe place. I need to now go from concerned into worry about protecting my family, getting myself out of here, saving my life. That's where worry is healthy, because it's designed to kick in now all of the motivational juices that you have inside of you to go into another level, to save your life and to protect yourself and to make sure that you live another day and to get out of danger. That's where worry is healthy. However, we're not always in a state of chaos. We're not in wartime. Yeah. We're not soldiers that are facing, we're not police officers. Now, if you tell a police officer to stop worrying, he or she's going to laugh at you and go, are you kidding me? My job is to come home at night.
That's their job.
Yeah, that's their job. Right? They're out in the front lines. So for worrying for its purposes, then it's healthy. But for the average human being who lives in a society or a state of peace and love, and it's okay to be aware and concerned about certain things, but when you start crossing into worrying, where worry now becomes a consistent habitual thing, to where it now starts to cause your own sicknesses and your illness, and worry goes to anxiety, and anxiety goes to chronic sadness and depression, you let your brain run away, and you're no longer in control of your own mindfulness and your own ability to realize that I can actually stop the worrying whenever I decide to. And this is usually where we reach out to someone to help us be more conscious, more present, more aware of realizing that I actually am in control of the things that I worry and the things that I don't worry about.
Yeah, and I'm still playing with that. Just because I've known you and we've done the show for so long, I do have more moments where I stop myself and say, okay, you can't just worry anymore. But it's taken me years to realize, and I'm still fighting it, because like I just said, I'm worried right now, or was in that state where it's overpowering my mind, and I can't think of anything else because I'm obsessing over that.
Got it.
In the big scope of things, then I take a step back and like, well, it's not. Yes, it is important, but just it'll be what it is.
So you're at stage one. Stage one is acknowledging that you worry. There's a lot of people that won't acknowledge that they worry. They're in denial. It's just like AA, right, or NA. You have to be willing to acknowledge, hey, I am an addict. You have to be willing to call yourself out. And so for those of you that have worked with me before, when it comes to coaching, the very first thing I do in my very first session with you is, in order to be coachable, you have to be willing to call yourself out. You have to be willing to raise your hand and tell on yourself and say, Alex, I'm struggling with this. If you're unwilling to acknowledge any of your shortcomings or any things that you need to work on, then you're living in denial, and then you can never have the breakthrough in that area. So the number one thing is to be willing to say, you know what, I do worry, and it is affecting me, and I need to figure out how to change that. So that's step one. So you're already at that stage, obviously, from listening to the show for so many years. You're getting that, hey, the way that I sabotage myself is to live in the illusion that I'm not going through that, or that I don't worry. So number one is I acknowledge that I do worry. Now I want to talk really quick about, for those of you that have been worrying for 10 years, 20, 30 years, and I don't want you to feel bad and wrong because you worry. Like I said, worry is just a natural thing that's in our DNA. It's part of our wiring, but it's in the wiring of our ego. And our ego's job, again, is to protect us and keep us safe. However, you being mindful and aware of, I'm sitting here with my daughter having a deep, loving, vulnerable connection and conversation with my daughter. I don't need to worry about anything right now. What I need to do is shut the ego down, put it in the corner, tell it to take a time out so that I can allow myself to be vulnerable, present in the moment which will allow me to connect with my daughter, and we could share deeply. So it's more of an awareness of knowing when and where to worry. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense, and it feels like that goes along the lines with stage one. I guess your step one, where it's that acknowledgement and saying, okay, I'm gonna stop worrying right now. Maybe you'll pick it up later, because I do that.
Like
often.
put a pause
Just put a pause on it.
So
yeah.
let's say you had some very important things to handle after the show, and just as we're getting ready to go on the show, I gotta go. Hey, are you here or are you there? And then you got to go, man, I'm still there. And I go, well, I need you to be here. So you're able to go, you know what? Shift, pause. I'm going to pause all the worry and all the concerns for when it's time to worry and concern. And I'm going to get present in this moment and be here now. And then what happens is you have to be able to develop a higher level of trust that when the show's over, you can unpause it, jump in, and that you're capable of handling whatever circumstances that come up in the minute, in the moment. Now, that's a whole nother level of being able to surrender worrying, and that's the level of you deciding that you are capable and competent of handling any kind of circumstance as it arises in the moment. Do you have that? Have you developed that ability?
I want to say yes, but no, not. I haven't mastered it. I haven't mastered it, because today was a perfect example of me attempting to do it, where again I was worried. Then I came in here, and I could have had somebody come in and cover for me just so I can focus on other things. But I said no. I committed, and I have faith in myself, and I trust myself enough to pick it up, put all that aside. I did what I can do, and focus and be present on your show and doing the show. And then once it's over, I'll pick it up right again and do that.
That's right.
But it doesn't always happen.
No, I know that. And that's why sometimes it helps to have somebody that's an outside observer either point it out to you or to remind you, like, yo, you got this. You're the man around here. Like, if anyone, it's like having an all-star baseball player on your team, and, it's like, man, we need some runs. And it's like, all right, Tommy's up to bat. You're like, if anyone's going to be up to bat, I want Tommy to be up to bat because he's my ringer. And you're the ringer around here. So give yourself a little bit more credit. Know that there's nothing you can't handle in this whole radio station, and you're it. So trust yourself, believe in yourself, take a deep breath. When this show's over, you're going to roll in, and this is the next level of whatever you need to go to is going to rise. And if you see that you need support, you'll reach out, and you got a beautiful team here to rally around you, and you'll figure it out. And I think that's what it takes really when it comes to worrying, is a high level of trust. Some of us, we call it faith, right? I have
faith, trust, in within yourself, right?
Well, absolutely. Well, that's one is within. I have trust, and I have a high level of faith that I can handle whatever circumstances is thrown at me. Some people who are spiritual or religious, they believe that have trust or faith in higher power or universe or the collective consciousness of the universe, or that there things happen for a reason. And we can go deep and dive into that. There's a whole nother level of faith and trust when it comes to that. So, we're not by ourselves when it comes to navigating our life and overcoming circumstances and handling the things that we need to handle. So we're set up to win. What happens is when we start to worry is we forget about having the faith in that. We've lost trust in ourselves. We start to doubt our abilities. And then once you just cross over that one line that I talked about of concern, and you start to, put your tippy toe into the worry pool, it's almost like your ego's like, go, dive in. And once you dive in, the swells just take you deeper and deeper.
Yeah, because that's and I find myself here. You say I'm the ringer, and I can, jack of all trades kind of guy. I can go anywhere. But and I say yes, and I think it's that not controlling, but yeah, I guess it is controlling. And I want to do it, and then I'm worried about everything.
It's 1,000% about control. So when we come back from the break, I'm going to talk about the number one thing that we have to learn how to master when it comes to giving up that thing that we like to hold on to called worrying. And how do we shed the worriness from our lives and it's going to be that C word that you talked about. And we come back from the break, we'll talk all about that. Stay tuned for more of the Alex Urbina Radio Show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.
Santa Clarita, bedbugs are taking over our city. They've invaded our homes, our businesses, and most importantly, our sleep. If you have suspicious bites that appear nightly or have a bug that you need ID'd, your best option is to make one call to All Pro. We offer a 100% guarantee that your bedbug issues will be solved with heat in one treatment. No need to tent or spray your house with chemicals. Heat is all you need. Call 661-298-2200 or text me a bug picture to 661-645-0540. It's time to sleep tight again, STV.
The Art Gallery of Santa Clarita Artists Association, located in downtown Newhall on 6th Street between Railroad and Main, features local members' original artwork with changing exhibits every 2 months. Purchase affordable art for your home or as gifts. Open Friday through Sunday or by appointment. Artists wishing to join the SCAA can visit santaclaritaartist.org, come to our free monthly meetings at Barnes & Noble, or stop by the gallery. For upcoming shows, check us out at santaclaritaartist.org. We make visual art visible.
This is a Rita's Daybreak. There's a huge crowd at Rita's. With so many amazing flavors, every day's a treat. Let's see what folks are celebrating.
I lost my first tooth.
No more training wheels.
My dog photo got 37 likes.
3 kids, 3 activities, 0 meltdowns. There you have it. Layer it, blend it, or drink it with Italian ice and creamy custard. So many reasons to celebrate at Rita's. This has been a Rita's Daybreak.
Hometown, your hometown station.
And welcome back to the Alex Urbina Radio Show. I'm in the studio with Andrew Delgado. Today we're talking about worry and how to master the ability to surrender or let go of all the worries that you have in your life. And if you missed the first segment, you probably want to go back and listen to that. We talked a little bit about how worry is, part of our DNA. It's part of the structure, the way we're built, the way we're wired. And there's healthy worry, and then there's unhealthy worry. And we're talking about this subject today so that we can open up the possibility for some of us who don't know that we are actually in control of what we worry about. And we're actually at choice. We're actually choosing consciously or unconsciously to worry about things, and we're choosing consciously or unconsciously to not worry about things. So if that's the case, then why don't we just consciously decide that I can worry about whatever I want? And once you start to practice that art form, you actually slowly start to worry less and less about things that you realize that it's not worth it. It's like a game you can't win. So let's imagine that worry is an actual game that your ego creates. And it's a psychological game that you're born into, and your job is to wake up and realize that how to win the game. And the way to win the game is to realize that you're consciously or unconsciously choosing to worry or not worry. So before we went on a break, I was talking about this thing called control. So I want you to be open to the possibility that I am somewhat of a control freak in our lives. We have developed this need to be in control of what happens, what's coming down the pipeline, the things that we like, we don't like, the things that we want, don't want, the things that we've decided that are good for us, not good for us, all of that. We are judgment machines.
Yeah.
And in that judgment machine, we're trying to control situations, outcomes, and in that need to control, we have never been taught that this is a universal law. There are things that we can control, and there are things that we absolutely cannot control. And as human beings, when we're not clear about those distinctions, is what causes the worry. We start worrying about things that we cannot control. Now, imagine if I was able to download this software program and put it in your brain. You ever seen The Matrix?
Yeah, The Matrix.
The Matrix.
Yeah.
I can download this program to you, and it's called Universal Laws. And I download it into your wiring. And all of a sudden, you just stop worrying about things. And I go, how's your life going? And you're like, man, I am in
fantastic.
I'm in bliss. And I go, why? And you go, because I stopped worrying about the things that I have no control over. And I go, what are you talking about? And you're like, I just got clear. I got clarity on the things that I have no control over. And once I realized that and became highly consciously aware that I can't control those things, it freed me up to be at ease, to be at peace, and then allow myself to live my life in a way that I no longer worry of trying to be in control of those things that are outside of my control.
Yeah. Where can I get this program? And can I?
It's actually, I actually have a list. I go over it in some of my workshops, and I just did it not too long ago in one of my teen advanced courses. I taught the teens, and we went over the list of the distinctions of the things that I can control versus the things that I can't. And what's funny is when human beings, when we go over the list, you go, of course, I know that.
That's a no-brainer.
But when you're in your real life, when you start to worry, all of a sudden you have amnesia and you forget that list. And it might take somebody like a coach or a mentor or someone just goes, dude, where does that, the thing that you're trying to control right now, where does that fall? And the things that you can control or the things that you cannot control. And then once you go, you're right, it does, something I cannot control. And then that new awareness has you surrender and let it go. So just briefly, I'll even throw some just off the top of my head.
Give me one or two,
all right,
and then we'll play.
Let's say, okay, the winner of the Major League Baseball World Champions, can you control it or not?
I like to think I control it, but I do not.
That's a different question.
No, I can't.
It's a different question.
I cannot control that.
Then why? So you know you can't control that, right?
Right.
So why do you get angry when your favorite team loses?
I have no answer for you. Because I want them to win.
I know you. I know you want them to win.
Controlling that again, like you just said, that's a no-brainer. That easy call. That
right.
Yes, you know. I know. I have no control.
Right.
Over
So
it.
in the moment when it's the last game, and it's the last inning, and they strike out and they lost, whether it's 3 years in a row, 10 years in a row, or whatever. In that moment, can you just take a deep breath, surrender it, go outside, go get in your car and drive off to whatever's next? Or does it linger with you like, no, and then you're walking around?
Yeah, I'm that second one. I'm saying no.
Okay, exactly. There's a part of you that you need them to win. It's no longer a want. It's that you couldn't make it manifest them being in control of them actually winning because you wanted them to win as bad as you wanted them to win. And so this goes back to think about all the times, all the things that you worry about situations.
Yeah.
It's because you're not in control of the outcome, right? We worry about what? Our kids?
Right.
Here's my biggest worry is my kids go out at night, give me a kiss, hug, they're out, and I put my head in the pillow. I have to surrender the control. I have to literally say my own prayer. I have to surrender, do my yoga, do whatever it is I need to do, my gratitude prayer. I got to surrender the fear and the control of, hey, I can't control whether they're safe or not. And it comes now to my faith and a higher level of trust. And then I release it, and then I go to bed and sleep like a baby.
Yep. That on the switch, that same exact scenario happens when I was living with my parents, and I go out to parties. And my mom said, I can't sleep. I was up all night until you got home. And I'm like, why? I was like, why? I'm fine.
So you're trying,
I'd be okay.
But you're trying to convey that to a mom who gave you birth, that like takes ownership of you, like probably loves you more than she loves herself, right? Like that for a parent is a great example of how do I surrender the state of worry to the point where now I'm able to see that it really is the things that I can't control that worry me the most. And so this is where to have the balance, you got to step in and practice the art form of trusting at a higher level or having faith and surrendering the control. Here's another one, getting on a plane. There are people that can get on a plane and no big deal. And there are some people the very first time or even for the 30th time, every time you get on a plane, they get nervous, they're sweating, they have anxiety, right? Because what are they trying to control?
Not crashing.
Right? They're trying to control not crashing in this plane. And so it really takes a high level of serenity. You got to surrender and let go of, hey, it's out of my hands now. And when you actually practice that state and get to that state, there's so much peace and joy and love and happiness that's available to you when you finally surrender that.
Yeah, and I'm hopefully I get there. But right now what my problem is, and I'm sure a lot of people have it, is and you talked about it before, is having that monkey brain, where you have a situation come up and I think of every scenario that can happen, and what do I have to do to make that scenario happen, and then if that scenario doesn't happen, then what do I have to do to make it come back to the scenario I have, and then I'm 20 minutes in before the even scenario, whatever it is, even happen. Now, so I'm in my brain, trying to control this before it even happens.
All right, got you. Now, I want to share a story with you. One of the greatest gifts that I was given in my young life was being a part of a leadership team in my early 20s. And what they helped me develop was the ability to be competent enough to handle any circumstance that's thrown my way. So I'm just going to throw one example out of probably 500.
All right.
One example was we had certain meetings at certain times, and I had to figure out how to be there no matter what. I couldn't show up with excuses. So if I got in my car, didn't have enough gas, I rerouted myself, ran out of gas, stuck on the freeway. Instead of just going home, I had to figure out how to keep reinventing myself until I got there and got there on time. So what it trained me to do was to not stop, to keep figuring, to develop a creativeness inside myself that at a certain point I've come to the conclusion that I can handle any circumstance that's thrown at me. So by the time I was 25 years old, there was nothing you couldn't throw at me that I couldn't figure out. You know how in today's world, they have these rooms that you can go to, and with your friends, you get creative.
Yeah, the escape rooms.
The escape rooms. I think one of the most beautiful gifts that we can give ourselves is to go take your family to escape rooms, take your teenagers there, and together let's learn how to think outside the box. Let's figure out how to get creative, how to develop those muscles, because when your kids, your teenagers become young adults, they're going to need to rely on their own ability to navigate their own circumstances, to overcome their own challenges, to pick themselves up off the floor when you're not around, dust themselves off, get back on the horse, and keep galloping. So when you develop this higher sense of, I can handle anything, I dare you to throw anything at me, and I'll figure out how to overcome, achieve, get around, or at least get close to it. When you have that kind of mindset, you start worrying less of the outcome, and you rely more on your own ability to navigate. You start trusting that I got this because I've gotten it the last 200 times, the last 500 times. Because I start to wonder. Let's say you're a 60-year-old man, and I'm like, Andrew, why are you still worrying about the same stuff that when I met you when you were 19? It doesn't make sense to me. You're still worrying about the same things that you were worrying when you were 19 years old. You've superseded your own abilities to overcome and deliver. Like, you got to start learning how to trust yourself more. So it really becomes an opportunity for you to just keep practicing how to trust yourself, how to give yourself more credit, how to keep challenging yourself so you become more competent at whatever it is you're doing. And I'm not talking about just here at work. I'm talking about in every area of your life. Like right now, if you got in a car and you were on your way to, I don't know, the Laker game or Dodger Stadium or wherever it was, and you had front row seats or backstage passes and your car broke down, would you just give up, pack up, and call an Uber to head back home?
Oh, my initial thought would be, yeah, probably. I'd be like, I'm not going anymore.
Yeah, you're one of those people that goes, I'm done.
Yeah.
Now, what if you decided to be one of those people who go, no, this is only phase one.
Yeah.
This is only my first challenge. I got 100 more challenges to overcome to get myself to that stadium. It's like I'm going to dare the universe to go, all right, buddy, you've already, I've thrown so many things at you to tell you you're not supposed to be there that you're just not supposed to be there until the time runs out. So it just goes to show you is like where do you just give up on yourself and decide that something's not possible or that you can't do it. So when you have a higher level of faith and trust in your own ability to navigate your own circumstances, no matter what's thrown at you, then the worrying slows down. It dies out because now you have more faith in your ability to handle whatever circumstance comes up in that moment. And it takes a high level of creativity. Mm-hmm. You got to just really practice being creative.
Yeah, see, being creative when those obstacles or things happen and trusting yourself. But when is it, just with that scenario or with some other ones where obstacles happen and you kind of give up, But when is it when you because I was thinking about caring. When does caring come in? When people are like, oh, I don't care. Like if I didn't go to the game, obviously I care about the game and I'm gonna make everything happen. Or if I give up and say, oh, I have a flat tire, I really don't care. Like when does caring come into it and worrying come into it?
When you say I don't really care about the game
or
anymore,
right? Or you care. You care too much, and people, because I know I have interchanged worrying and caring, and I've heard other people do that as well. And does that play into it where like, oh, I don't really even care, or if you go out to dinner with friends and they got canceled, or you're worrying about it, like when does caring kind of happen in there?
Well, caring is just a part of who you are as a beautiful soul. You're going to care about things. I think caring is the part that starts the worry, right? Because we only worry about stuff because we care.
Yeah,
because if we didn't care,
if we didn't care,
if we didn't care, we wouldn't worry. So because I care, I go from because I care, I have a concern. But after the concern, up to that line, we cross over the line from concern into worry. And so now I'm 3 steps across the line into worry. Now I'm 12 steps across the line into worry. Now I'm in the abyss of worrying to the point where I can't sleep. I have insomnia. Now I'm paying huge prices. So all I'm saying is, can you carry inside of the area called concern and not cross over into the worry? Because I can care, be a caring, compassionate, loving human being and be concerned, highly concerned. But I just don't cross into the worry. So the worry for me is when the fear starts to get, you start to get in the deeper depths of fear, rather than, no, I care, otherwise I wouldn't be here. I care, otherwise I would have quit. I care but I'm going to hang out in the, I'm concerned. I'm really concerned about you. That's why I'm here. I'm really concerned about where this is going. That's why I said something. I'm really concerned. So being concerned is more of standing in a more powerful place of awareness and wanting to help or contribute. Worry crosses into, now I've gone beyond the stage of being concerned, and now inside of the worry, I want to bring up a whole new possibility. Could it be possible, Andrew, that when you cross over concern into worry, that now that worry energy is creative, and that energy called worry can now actually cause and manifest the one thing that you're worrying to actually cause it to happen?
Yeah, I would say yes.
Yeah. So you got to be really careful, because feelings is energy. And if I'm concerned because I care, but I'm not going to cross into worry. If I cross into worry, now that energy starts to get heightened. And energy is creative. And so my worry can actually cause the result of what it is I'm worried about. Like as human beings, we can manifest the things that we're worried about and go, see, there you go. It happened.
Oh,
and I can go look and go, man, you worried so much that are you open to the possibility that you actually caused the exact thing that you were worried about, that you actually played into it and manifest the one thing that you were worried about. You played a part in causing it to actually be in existence.
Okay, I see that, because yes, that's happened. Yeah.
So I want to be open. I want you to be open to the possibility that being worried is a powerful creative energy, and you can actually take your worry to the point where you actually manifest the exact thing that you're worried about that you don't want to happen. You're actually making it happen. Now, I don't want you to now, for those of you that are listening, to get on a plane, and as you start to worrying about or having thoughts about crashing, you're not that powerful that you're going to cause the plane to crash. Yeah. However, if you have all 350 people on that plane at a high level of worry and despair and causing that energy, can you influence that plane and have that energy make malfunction or whatever? Highly possible. But what I'm trying to tell you is be careful with the things you worry about, because you could be giving birth to it. You could be putting that energy towards it. That's why instead of having thoughts of worrying about what could happen or what might not happen, let's put your thoughts in. I'm concerned about it, but because I'm concerned about it, I'm going to put it on the shelf and pause it, and then I'm going to focus on what we can do. Let's focus on being here in the moment. Let's focus on being being in control of what I can control, which is the present moment and being here now. Not something that might happen tomorrow or could happen next week, right? Because if you think about worry, where does worry exist? Is it the past, present, or the future?
It's the future.
And the past.
Yeah.
Can you worry about the past?
Oh, you definitely can, but does that? I mean, yes. Like, I'm stuck. Like yes and no.
Okay. Can you be in the present moment and be worrying about something that's happening now?
I would no, because it's happening, right?
Well, whatever's
Like
happening,
whatever's
happening is happening. But we're more likely to be in the present moment worrying about something that either hasn't happened or could happen. So let's say you're at the hospital and your loved one is in surgery and you're worrying. Are you worrying in the present moment?
Yeah. Well, yes. About future.
That's right.
Yeah, about the future.
That's right. You're experiencing worry. You're experiencing worry in the present moment, but it's not about something that's happening in the present moment. It's happening in the possible future
of
what
unknown.
could. It's the unknown, right? Now, I wouldn't wish this on anybody, but it happens. So doctor comes out and says, "Hey, bad news." So now you're getting bad news in the present moment. Mm-hmm. In that present moment, are you still worried?
I would say no. I would say no.
Yeah.
But then
what's happening now in that present moment?
The feelings of just whatever
the sadness,
the
pain, the grief,
like
whatever
that, yeah.
Whatever's going on in that moment. So worry actually disappears. So worry's not in the present moment. It's only in your mind about future moments of what could happen, what might happen. And like you said, if you don't learn how to control that monkey mind just runs amok.
Yeah.
Where you can't sleep. You can't. I mean, it destroys human beings,
and that takes you out of the present.
That's right.
And the essentially takes you out of living your current life.
That's right. And the reason why is because we can't be here and there at the same time. You have to choose one. And a lot of times in the training room, I'll tell the kids, I'll say, I want you to try to sit and stand at the same time. Ready, go. And then they all stand up and they squat. Some kids will get creative and they'll grab a chair and they'll put it up to their butt, but they're still standing. Right. And then I'll say, but are you sitting or standing? And they're like, I'm both. I'm like, you can't be both. You have to be sitting or you have to be standing. Or you have to be standing over here, over there. You can't be at the same place at the same time. It's the same thing with being present. You cannot be in the present moment here now, absent of thought and having thought at the same time. You have to either be checked in or checked out. And the saddest thing that most of us don't realize is that we spend 80% of our life checked out in our brain thinking about other things.
Yeah, like that's me.
Like if you're an entrepreneur, especially if you're an entrepreneur, like I'm an entrepreneur and I have to fight when it's time to get off the clock and I'm at home with my family or having dinner. I got to fight the urge to want to think of all these creative ideas that are just coming to me. Alex, and what in your next move, and the next book, or the next, and all these creative, and I gotta go stop. I gotta pause it because my daughter's sitting across from me, wanting to talk or chat, or my wife's, and I gotta learn how to be in the present moment and pause all of those thoughts, even the worrying, the concerns or the worrying about, do I have enough money to pay the bill next week, and so all of that starts. And you gotta learn how to shut that down because you can either be here in the present moment with your loved ones, or you're there in thought thinking about what you cannot control, things that are that's
rough because when you're thinking about it, it's so the irony is because my brain is going into all that right now about okay, now how do I do that, and then have I thought about that, did I do that scenario, oh there was this time, and then now I'm off.
That's right. And so that's why I like having these discussions, because if we don't have these discussions and we don't talk about these things or paint these scenarios, then we're going to continue just to live our life unconsciously, not realizing that we have options, not realizing that there are ways for me to be present, take advantage of being in the present moment and connecting with our loved ones and nurturing those moments because no one has taught me how to be living in the present. All right, we got to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to take it to a whole nother level. Stay tuned for more of the Alex Urbina radio show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top quality musicals and plays. Located on Main Street in Old Town Newhall, CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go online to canyontheater.org.
La Esmeralda is home to truly authentic Mexican food. This family-owned restaurant prides itself on its fresh-to-order menu. Even the tortillas are made in-house. If you have a taste for sizzling fajitas, flautas, or menudo, you have to try La Esmeralda's Mexican and Seafood Restaurant. Dine in or order out for the most authentic Mexican food Santa Clarita has to offer. Their Taco Tuesdays, it'll turn you into a regular. La Esmeralda on Bouquet at Haskell.
Cardinellis here for Rock and Jump. Jump Sky High is now Rock and Jump, the ultimate trampoline park. Battle all comers in extreme dodgeball. Race to the top on a vertical ops climbing wall and grab a jousting stick and be the last one standing in the X Beam Challenge. Or hit the slam dunk zone and try your newest tricks in the foam pit arena at Rock and Jump, Santa Clarita's premier indoor trampoline park on the Old Road in Valencia.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
Welcome to the Alex Urbina radio show. The following is paid programming and does not necessarily reflect the opinions of KHTS or its ownership.
And welcome back to the Alex Urbina radio show, hanging out with Andrew Delgado in the KHTS studios in beautiful downtown Newhall, California. Today we've been talking about worrying and how to master it. Not get better at it, but how to be aware of it and consciously in charge of what you worry about and what you don't worry about so that you can start eliminating worrying from your life. And if you missed any part of the segment, we had a pretty cool dialogue about really acknowledging that worry is part of our wiring. And it's that caveman in us that needs to hunt and gather and protect and really take care of ourselves and make sure that we stay alive to see tomorrow. And it's in our ego's job to protect us and keep us safe. And in order to do that, it has to be sharp, and that it has to be 10 or 20 steps ahead of what's going on. It has to be eyeballs around the corner to make sure when you go down that road, nothing's going to happen to you or you're not going to be surprised by an element that can harm you or hurt you. So its job is to take care of us. But in the guise of taking care of us, in relationships and in the everyday life of enjoying and being in the present moment, worrying about things can really sabotage our life when it comes to being aware and being present and being happy, because we can let the worry get out of control. What does it feel like, Andrew, when your monkey mind goes on this tangent and it starts to psychoanalyze the heck out of every scenario? How do you feel when you just can't, you get stuck on something, you can't get off of it?
Yeah, I jump into it, and then I'm, going in my own mind, like you just said, every scenario. And then I catch myself on another beat, like, oh, somebody was talking to me this whole time. Like, I feel so bad. Or I'm in this room just, like, where am I kind of deal? Or what am I doing? Because I'm thinking about something else. And just go into there. It feels, it's not great because it overwhelms me. And then I shut down. I'm like, I got to stop thinking about this. But then I keep going on or different scenarios. But I don't think worrying's all bad. But I definitely am on that other line of worrying too much. And then now I have to work on myself, progressing that to getting on the other side of that fine line where worrying's a good thing. Or in a good way, not over worrying, I guess.
Yeah, when you're able to have the ability to be concerned about stuff in a healthy way, but not have it cross over to the worry side where it just takes on a life of its own.
Yeah, because I definitely had sabotaged myself and had those worrying, negative feelings brought into existence, like we said before.
And I wonder what people in your life, when you get to that stage, do people call you out on it? Do they go, hey, Andrew, where'd you go? Can they see you? Because I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
As an observer, that's my job. I observe people. As an observer, I'm watching you. Sometimes you're in it, right? In it meaning the present moment, right, with me. And there's times your eyes wander. And when your eyes are wandering, I know you're in your head thinking about stuff. So I know you check in, you check out, you check in, you check out. And this is a classic example when I'm in the training room with teenagers and I'm discussing, because teenagers are so hardwired to constantly be stimulated that a normal conversation, they can't hang in there longer than a minute or two. So they check out. So in the training room, I'm constantly pointing out how often are you here, you're there, you're here, you're there. You check in, you check out. And it sounds like this. Hey guys, how you doing? Wah, 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 wah. And we're going to go and we're going to do something amazing. And I wonder what we're going to have for lunch today. Right? We hear that little inner voice that's chattering at us. And in case you didn't know you have an inner voice that talks to you all the time, it's the little voice that said to you, what little voice is he talking about?
That exact one.
That one right there. That one talks to you all the time really silently. And if you haven't decided that you're the master of the voice and the voice is mastering you, then there's a good possibility that you're unconscious and you're just a byproduct of that little voice it's an innate ability to just constantly worry about things. And that means you're not really in control of your own joy, peace, happiness, your own state of mind. That there's a good possibility you're just hardwired to be reactive and fearful, and you're not in control of you. You're not mastering you.
Right, and you are in that state of worry. I would put it. And that's me. That in the training room when you said that, then I'm like, the littlest thing will get me, and then I'm like, oh, I thought about that, and then that thing, and then, oh wait, I'm supposed to be over here. Like I said, people have called me out, and like you especially, with what did I say, and then I'm like, oh, shoot, what did he say? And when somebody's talking, I'm like, did they say this? And then I'm thinking about it, and then that sputs off another tangent. So I definitely have to.
What would it look like if you were in a relationship with someone that was always around you? And they never took things personal when you checked out, right? Because they were really confident and assured of themselves. So they never saw it as that you don't love them or they're not interesting enough or whatever. They don't make up stories. They're just in your life. But they would every once in a while go, hey, Andrew, where'd you go? And you go, oh, sorry. Yeah. And what if they just constantly, just from a loving place, just constantly reminding you that they're there in your presence and just to constantly remind you to keep coming back and being present with them? Would that be
at first? I'd be like, why are you doing that all the time? But then taking it back.
But they would only be doing that because they would keep noticing that you keep checking out until it becomes now a habit that you're checked in more often than being checked out. What's amazing is that when we're unconscious, we don't realize how checked out we are more often than not. It's just like breathing. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because in my family, when we go away sometimes on vacations, we'll plug in with other family members we haven't seen for a while. And, we haven't seen each other. And so there's about 5 or 6 conversations going on in the room with about 20 of us in the room. And all of a sudden, I'll be in a dialogue, a deep conversation. And the person that I'm having a conversation with, because they're not in my inner circle, because most people in my inner circle, we make eye contact with each other. And we've learned how to block out the world and just give our undivided attention to that person. We've learned how to be a committed listener, so we nod when we're paying attention, and so most of us don't check out as much. I'm not saying we're perfect, but for the most part, we're present and we honor each other when we're talking. And so that's how my life is in my inner circle. And my outer circle, with relatives I haven't seen for a while and loved ones, when I get together with them and we're talking, it's amazing how I see them. They'll look away, or a butterfly will go by and they'll look at the butterfly, or a kid will run by and they'll go, no, don't touch. And all of a sudden they'll come back and they'll want to re-engage, and I'll go, I'm good.
I'm like,
right. Have you ever been either the person who wasn't listening to you, or you just stopped having conversation with them because they've checked out so many times that you just decide it's not worth it? Or maybe you've been that person where someone just tells you, like, I'm not even going to talk to you no more because you're not present.
Both sides of the coin.
So have I, and I know what it feels like on both ends.
Yeah, and a great example, my parents, and we do this all the time, it's like a family thing. We're talking to somebody and they checked out. We say something like, "Oh," and then they did this and something,
and then their head
crazy,
got chopped off.
What?
Yeah. And then their head got chopped off and it rolled down the street.
And
you
then
go, whoa,
what'd you say?
Yeah.
And then like, oh, so you're listening now.
I love that. It's a great tool to let people know, like, dude, you checked out on me.
Yeah.
That also takes an ability to call people out on that. You got to do it in a playful way.
Oh yeah.
You got to say, look, I love you anyways, and this is part of our learning growth and the learning curve of us being present with each other. But when you're really fully present in the moment, and this is where I'm going to leave on this distinction. When you learn how to be present in the moment, there's no room for worrying, because you're in the present moment, you're interacting, and you're having a connection with somebody or something that you're in that moment figuring out either how to navigate a solution. Like if I'm up against a solution that or a scenario that I don't like, or is not favorable, or is not benefiting me, or I want a different kind of result, I'm more in the present moment of figuring out a solution rather than worrying about where it's going to go or what I'm not going to have. So I'm going to invite you to be more present in the moment and give permission to surrender your fears so you can live a happy, healthy life. That's all the time we have. Thanks for being here. We're here every Friday. Thanks for listening to the Alex Urbina radio show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.